All right, fellas, welcome back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start on the first gear. So this is our second. We got our slider, we got our detents in the last video, then I ran out of parts. So first gear is like the same as second. So we're going to slide this synchro on. Remember, when you put it in, rotate it, and it pops in when it's into place. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to oil up this carbon ring. We're going to oil this up really good. And then might as well oil up the other one while I'm at it. Okay, so I think this one goes on next. You should never have carbon to carbon. Your carbon should always be touching smooth metal. So that one goes in like that. And then, so we got carbon on the inside, so smooth metal's touching it. That should go in like that, but we have to rotate it. Wow, I need to take this unit off and make sure. It's almost as easy to, yep, it's in. So you can pop this out and then you can rotate it and it snaps in so you know you're in. And then you can put the whole unit in until it snaps in. So all three of those should be lined up. I'm pretty sure that's lined up. So you saw my little video on my first gear. So now, let me find, okay, here's my first gear bearing. It's brand new. So we're going to put some oil on it. So we're going to slide the new first gear bearing on. And then we got our brand new first gear. We're going to lube it really good. There's lots of machine surfaces on these, and they just like ride. They ride next to each other. Okay. We got some lube on this one. Okay, now remember we went over the new cut. Well, these teeth have to go down because they all mesh with the assembly, so I am pretty sure this goes this way. And snap-a-lappa. Okay, so why don't we turn? Oh, it's tight. Okay. Well, that's interesting. It doesn't turn very good. See, we had that problem with this one. I think these are just... Yeah, that's in. Oh, now it's stuck on there. Well, maybe it is that tight. You know? Whoa, engagement. Center, second, center, engage first. So now it's going to get a little interesting. Because this thrust washer right here has to be heated. We have to heat this. And what's funny is, wow, I'm not sure which way it goes on. Let me see. Yeah, it goes this way because what I'm doing is I'm looking at the wear marks. If you look at the wear marks in it, so this center silver wear mark is exactly where the plastic race of the bearing is riding. So that means this goes on like this. Now notice it slides down and it stops. Here's where the instructions say we have to heat this up. We have to heat this up on a hot plate. I don't have a hot plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up with an air gun, and then we're going to see if that slides that on. If that doesn't slide on, I'm going to take one of the tools, one of the pipes, and I'm going to take this pipe right here. No, I'm not taking that pipe. I'm going to have to go get my big pipe off the press, and we have to tap this down. And this is going to go all the way down until it rides against this face right here of the actual shaft. So that's what we're going to go do right now. So give me a few minutes. I want to heat this up, and then when I turn the camera back on, I'm going to be like putting this on here with welding gloves and hopefully tapping this down. So let me get set, let me get my heat gun out, and let me get prepped, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I got this thing pretty hot with the heat gun. I don't know if they gave us enough. You could probably cold press this, but let's see what happens here with the heat gun. Okay, so there it is. Oh my God, it went all the way on. Can you believe that? No shit. I'm just gonna make sure. Holy crap, man, the heat gun. It dropped all the way down. Oh man, it turns tight, but yeah, that thing dropped all the way down. I mean, I hope that's all the way down. How do you know? Basically, it's just riding against the top of that flange on first gear. All right, we're heating this race. We heat it for another second or two. Now, what I like about a heat gun is usually you won't turn the metal purple. Once you go discoloring, you're starting to ruin the temper. But you should know that. So I'm not using a flame. The heat gun works really good. If it's a really delicate part, I'll even use the wife's blow dryer because that even gets less hot. And you can be really, really, really safe with that. So this thing is pretty warm. So let me put my glove on. Grab it with the glove and we'll see. Oh my God, look at that, it slid right on. That is freaking amazing. Now there's a little step in it though, which is interesting. I wonder if there's, So this race is a 1/2 mil higher than the machine surface on the shaft. I wonder if that race has to be pushed flush, which maybe there's something that has to slide on, but there's another snap ring gap here. If I can't get everything on far enough, I may have to tap everything down a tad. So, but I don't want to put the bearing on yet because the bearing is encased in plastic and I got this race really hot. So let's see. Oh God, it's already cool to the touch. I think because the heat absorbed into the shaft more than likely. So, all right, let me grease this bearing. Or oil the bearing, I should say. Okay, there's our new bearing. Yeah, I think that's gonna have to press down a bit. And then this is going together a little faster. I don't know if I'm out. Let me set this heat gun down on the floor. Okay, we have reverse thrust. And now we come up with reverse. That's my new reverse gear. Oh, baby. I think what I want to do is let me put a little more oil on this face. There we go. I'm still not sure about the height of this. I think that's going to have to press down some. All right, so let's see. And then we go with the reverse synchro. Here's the reverse synchro. Now, there's really no way to line that up, so I'm just going to line up point to point. And then I think we go reverse synchro. Oh, then we got to go the reverse hub. All right, not the slider, but the hub. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, give me a few minutes here. Let me get the hub, let me get all that set up, and I'll come right back. Okay, bye. Okay, so remember we got reverse, we got the synchro. If you look at the lines in here, I think this is going to press down to the bottoms of the shaft. Therefore, I think we are going to end up sliding that sleeve down just a touch. Yeah, there we go. That's so then this, can you see the square notch here? That notch right there is going to line up with that. So now what I have to do is let me go over to the press, and then we have this Miller tool number 6448 alpha. This goes on here, and then we use the press to press this center hub down. So, all right, give me a few minutes and let me get set up. Okay, before we press this, I just want you to know my shaft is suspended in this tool. And that's been really handy. And that tool has, you can see the ears on it. That slips in your vise, and you vise up, and those ears can't fall through the vise. So if you think I got my shaft clamped on vise teeth, no. This is clamped in the vise teeth, and my shaft is in the machined hole in it. and it's what it's designed for. So, okay. So we got the Miller tool in, and now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this synchro tab is lined up, and then we are going to gently press this hub on. Now I don't have the bar, you know, the little bar handle in the bottle jack. I'm using my finger because I just see it's already going. It should just go really easy, but they can start at an angle sometimes. So I'm just gonna let it loose, and I'm gonna take a side look. Yeah, see, it just went cockeyed, which is really weird. It's kind of annoying, actually. All right. Let's see if this will straighten it out. This happened on the other one. It just... See, now it goes right on. So that's why I'm using my hand. You know, I'm not in a hurry. And I can feel the tension, if that makes sense. So now we have to line her. Can you see how we're lined up? I know you're at an angle, but... See, now it feels tight again, so let me just take a quick gander. No, it looks like it's going on straight. See, the synchro tab is within the square. It looks straight. I think it's just getting more tension because we're getting longer on the splines. So I got to go to the handle now. See, I don't know how far to go with it. See, it tightened up. See, we're not flush. So the splines on this are higher than the other one. And I don't know if we need to go down flush. I kind of think we might, but the thing is I may be pushing. Yeah, because I can see. No, I can't tell. All right, I'm going to study this for a minute. I'll be right back. All right, so I guess the slider's on all the way. It's not lined up with the splines, but the other one didn't either. Do you see these ball detents right here? You're going to grab those, and they just, you just set them in there. See, they're the contained ones. And you just set them in there all the way around. And then you're going to take your reverse slider. Notice your reverse slider has a longer flange and a smaller flange. And then notice on one edge, these teeth are sharp and the other ones, they're flat. Well, the book doesn't show it, but I'm assuming that the sharp ends go down so that it can mesh with these sharp ends here. So I'm putting these sharp ends down. And then the other thing is, make sure you get your ball detents lined up. So your ball detents have to be perfectly lined up. And then I kind of use my thumb and my finger to push the balls in. And then I found my neutral. And I pop it down and I engage and I lock the reverse gear. And I pop back up into the ball detents and loose gear is free. Notice my first gear is free too, and my second's free. Now if I go down a little bit, here, let's do that again. Free, free, first, second. Now, I just locked in second, and I just locked in first. And then I'm back to neutral. Second, first, neutral, locked reverse, back to neutral. So I think that's it. I got freaked out because it said add 6th gear and I'm looking for 6. Remember we did the back of the shaft first, so it wanted me to turn the shaft over, then do all that. So all that's already done. I just did it backwards. I was just doing it as I got the parts. So I think this shaft is done. I can't think what I'm missing other than the shift forks. So give me a second and let me put this shaft back in the jig, and then we'll work on the 5/6 synchros, because I think those are the first things that we took off when we had the shafts in the jig. So stand by. All right, the only thing I did was, remember we pressed this hub on the reverse hub, and we have reverse and it locks. And then I just took this and put it in the fixture. Now don't forget this oil slinger, you know where it goes because you can see the wear marks, but you have to pry these apart. This is like made out of phenolic, so be careful with it. Slide this down and then it meshes right there. And then that's where that oil slinger rides. So follow along here. We don't know if we slid this down far enough, right? So do I have this hub pressed on far enough? Hell, I don't know. But what would happen if I installed this snap ring? Right? I installed that snap ring. And the taper forces it all the way up. I figured that out. And then what would happen if I were to measure the bottom of this hub and the space on the snap ring, right? And you can only do this. I don't have the proper tools, but so I'm looking at about 836 and a half. So if it's 836 and a half, and the bearing, which goes in here, is 825, I'm kind of thinking we're good to go. Because that's the thickness of the bearing, and that's going to be just, damn, that's like dead nuts. So 825 on the bearing thickness. I hope you can see that. And then if I just keep, well, let me go back. So if I keep it at 825, come on. God dang, man, my stirrup broke and I got this piece of shit Chinese. And then I measure here, 820. I mean, with the eyeball, that is dead nuts to the bottom of that snap ring. So I think this is pressed on perfect. Damn, I hope that makes sense. So this is where we're going to set this is where we sit until I get paid this week, and then the wife's going to give me some more cash, and I'm going to get the shift fork. So once I get the shift fork, I'm ready to go back together. Now let me just reposition you here. Sorry. Okay, so we still have the snap ring that goes on the idler shaft, and then we have another bearing and we have another blocker ring. I don't think we do that until we get this put back in and put the case back together, so I'll review that. But we got reverse, bam, bam. We have 1, 2, 1, I mean that's 2, all the way up, back to neutral. And then we have 3, 4, 3, 4. So, dang man, if you guys see that I missed something, please, please, please give me a shout, because maybe I'm just a dumbass, I don't know. But this down here, remember we still have one more synchro and this blocker that goes on this. And the slider that goes in here. But until these halves are in the case, I don't think we put this on yet. This is like the last thing we do before we put the cases together. And then once we slide them together, we have this snap ring, and then had to order another oil seal. We got that oil seal. And then this bearing right here, which rides, I think, inside the input shaft. So we'll be putting that one on too. All right, so next week we finish. Because I'll get the shift forks by next Friday. So next Friday I'll film it and I'll get it uploaded, and I got to order the case sealant. I'm just going to order a tube of the Mopar aluminum case sealant. It's on Amazon. And then when we go back together, I'll get the tranny oil. I'm going to dump oil all over these gears when we put the case back together. Then I'll fill the case. And it's going to sit here till I get a new engine. So I think that's it. Got any questions, leave them. I respond to all questions. All right. Have an amazing weekend. Bye.